Around 11 a.m. Pacific time yesterday, reports of an active shooter surfaced in San Bernardino, California. At least 14 people were killed and over 20 others wounded, some seriously so. I have Chris Grollnek, our active shooter expert and former police officer, with us now to break down this shooting. Chris, welcome back.
Hi, Liz. How are you today?
I'm doing well, thank you. Let's start with the facts. New information is pouring in by the minute, but we already know that at least two of the attackers, a husband and wife, were Muslim. The man, Saeed Farouk, is said to have recently visited Saudi Arabia, and the home the couple shared with their baby was basically a bomb factory, IEDs all over the place. Reports are now also saying that there are possible links to radical jihad. Not to be irreverent here, but no dip. What else important do you know about this?
Right. So I think it's fair to say that there are obvious links and ties because we know that they visited Pakistan via Saudi Arabia back, and then his wife traveled back through a special tiered visa from Pakistan here and had 90 days to get married, in which they did. And if my information is correct, it was his child, not hers. And they dropped the baby off prior to going to the party. Now, there's a lot of heated debate going back and forth between the police and the federal law enforcement agencies there, probably just because they're tired. I mean, these guys are doing exceptional jobs, and ladies, exceptional work. They've been up extreme hours. And, you know, when you have these type of fluid situations, if you don't train together a lot, you don't really know what the next person's going to do. So I think there's a little bit of a rub between the police chief and the FBI spokesman, because if you watched the press conference last night, the police chief forgot to give the FBI person their time, and it was one of the most critical briefs that the night needed. And then that's right when we found out about the IED factory inside the home. So to think in realistic terms, who would build a bomb factory with a baby in their house in their right mind, number one? So there's a little bit radicalization there. But what I'm more concerned about is, you and I have spoken so many times about active shooters and people righting some perceived wrong, and terror where they're trying to terrorize for religious, ideological, or political objectives. You know, this is obviously ideological. They didn't go to a party and get in a fight, I'll tell you that. Maybe the person had to ramp themselves up, or they just decided they wanted to, you know, do something. But this took a lot of planning. And instead of being charged with scared to call it what it is, radical jihad, radical Islam, whatever the flavor of the day is, this is really a hybrid attack that we've never seen before, and we really need to wake up and open our eyes and study it. I've told you hundreds of times, these people study each other's work. It's time that we study theirs, and we understand this was a coordinated active shooter attack that was a terrorist attack on American soil, masked as workplace violence. Never heard of it before. The only thing it did was gave cover to the White House that said, well, it could be workplace violence again.
You should not hide under your desk. What should you do?
You need to run. You need to get out. You need to respond.
Even if it feels like you're running closer to the danger, like, for example, in an office building, if you were in your office, would you run out of your office even if you felt like you were running towards the threat?
So if you're going to hide, you want it to be a temporary status, not somewhere that you're going to put your head over your hands over your head and just pray. You need to look left, look right, and find a way out, and no alternate exits. What I'm saying is, if you do stop, it has to be a temporary status. Even if it's in the face of danger and there's a shooter, the shooter or the people trying to inflict damage, remember what I've told you before, they do not want to fail. That's the only thing they're afraid of. They're not afraid of you yelling at them. They're afraid of failing. What they don't want to do is encounter anybody running at them, running away from them, or running left and right. They want soft targets that are sitting there waiting and maybe, unfortunately, praying or hiding or crying or weeping. That's why it's imperative that you have these types of rehearsals with friends and talk to each other. What would you do? If you carry a purse, that purse isn't leaving with you. You are leaving with you. And if your friend doesn't want to go, I'm very sorry, but it's time for you to go. And that, you have to get that into your mind. You have to change your paradigm. It has to be a shift, or you're not, you know, unfortunately, and I'm not trying to talk to you saying you, I'll make it not personal, I'll make it me. But I don't want to become a victim, so I'm not going to let myself.
Okay.